The second match here between XL5 as well as Avant Garde. That game one, though, was just a complete wash from Avant Garde. They just steamrolled through that match.
Yeah, needless to say, that was a little bit of a shellacking fish. So we'll see whether XL5 are able to bounce back. And what I want to see is just pick priority. Pick pushing lanes, pick things that you know can get up in in the opponent's face, and really go toe-to-toe with them. I mean, it looked like they kind of had that last game, but obviously the Jhin was a little bit too much of a lane bully along with the Syndra. So ban away bullies and then just pick something that you use to style on lanes, because what that will allow you to do is at least get to mid-game on even footing, and then you just see where the game goes from there.
I mean, we had 4 members from XL5 there underperforming. Even though Gloop is a substitute coming to this one, he played much better last week. Guts underperforming, we normally look to him to be one of the sole carriers of the team. Crazy and Tegan didn't do too well. Surprisingly, 528, who hasn't had a good week so far, stood up against one of the best top laners in the league and did pretty well.
Yeah, he certainly did. I mean, 528 actually did pretty well last week as well. Was able to take on the Alawi counter pick with the Camille and was able to get, you know, quite a lead on Swiper after being bullied around early and solo killed. But it's just a little bit of those things that they have to piecemeal it together all at the same time, because otherwise it's just not going to work.
Yeah, this video is going to be getting even more entertaining as well, 528. I believe he depicts you as a villain in that one, Spawn.
Can you just read the bans?
Well, we have the bans of the first ban 3 phase that have gone through here. Syndra being taken away from Triple in game number 2. Ivan and Jace are the next 2 bans from XL5. LeBlanc, Camille, as well as Rengar are taken away by Avant Garde. We will have the Malzahar being locked in as the first pick for XL5. Again, Tiga picking up another damaging champion.
Potentially, we have seen it flex in the OPL recently. That was, of course, by Sin Gaming. They took that into the mid lane. It is 7.2, guys. So the Voidlings still swarm. And when I mean swarm, I mean they just kick the crap out of you. So it's not 7.3, where they're a little bit more tame. I mean, you can kite them around a little bit. At the moment, they just do damage.
They certainly do. I mean, we've had it flexed in multiple positions. We had it in the jungle last night for the LPL, but we don't talk about that game anymore. Whereas Avant Garde have locked in Varus as their first pick here, and they're going to be picking up Rek'Sai for Chelby.
Yeah, so another control jungler for Chelby. I mean, Rek'Sai, unless you really go Tiamat in an offensive build, isn't much of a brawler at the earlier stages of the game like the Kha'Zix and the Rengars of the world. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, going back to the Varus doesn't really surprise me all that much. Definitely Blinky's champion of choice at the moment.
And probably the most popular AD carry at the moment. Especially with the changes to lethality and how strong it is in the current meta. We saw Avant Garde ban it away in the last game to first pick Jace. Sorry, not Jace. Jhin. And this time around it's going to be crazy to pick up the champion.
And the one difference between, I guess, the Jhin and the Varus is that Varus eventually has to itemize into a tier, even if it is after something like a Serrated Dirk. So there's a window where he's got 700 gold of useless stats, really. As it scales up, obviously, mana very useful. So it's a short window. However, we'll see whether, you know, something like a Malzahar, something like a Jhin can get in there and disrupt the bottom lane.
Oh, I like this pick coming up from XL5. Guts has locked in Graves, a champion that has been resurging in not only solo queue, but competitive play as well. And the lethality changes have made him nice and easy to play in the jungle. The flip side, Avant Garde, they're going to ban away, take away Nami. That's what we haven't seen too much of so far. And Kled, again, being banned by Avant Garde.
Yeah, I really like Nami Varus just because, you know, you can keep nice and topped up. You've got some good poke as well as windows of trading. You don't really, because he's not attack speed based, you don't really want to sit there and auto with Varus. But 1 or 2 into an E or a Q does a lot of percentage health damage. And then the ults layer themselves very nicely. I mean, you have the Varus ult, it can go out, then the wave keeps them in place while it spreads around. Make sure everyone is stunned up. When the full duration of Varus ult goes through, it's actually an obnoxious spell.
It certainly is. Stacks all of his W blighted passive onto people who get hit by it as well. The bubble going to come out quite synergized very well with the ultimate too. Excited to see this bottom lane from Blinky and Jake. They've been very dominant in the bottom lane up against this Malzahar and Jhin. Excited to see if they can continue to be as dominant. No misfortune counter, which is a little bit surprising from Avant Garde. They're not too afraid of these Voidlings. The second wave of bans have gone through though. We have Corki being banned out by XL5, and again Fiora targeted towards Series. We have Kennen and Kled, similar bans from last game.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they're giving respect to 528 because he definitely is an emerging talent up in the top lane. I mean, I feel like the top laners in the OPL are slowly starting to get a little bit better. Historically, it's been one of the weaker positions. And this is nothing new for AV, leaving the top lane for the last pick.
Yeah, if there's any team that knows how to develop top lane talent, it is Avant Garde. It was mentioned on the desk for quite a bit before game 1. And Avant Garde are bringing back Victor.
And I have a bone to pick with everyone, because whenever people just stop at Paradise as if like, oh yeah, they found Paradise in series. There was a guy called Porky running around that was like a beast for AV back in 2014 when they were winning stuff. I mean, AV have historically always had good top laners, and you know, I think that it's nice to throw Porky in there, even though he hasn't been around for a while, because it does show that their depth goes back a little bit longer.
Seems like 528 has something to say about Maokai heading into this game. Wants to show Series a thing or two about the big old tree in the top lane.
And Maokai and Nautilus, for me, are two of the better tanks, because when you put them in hard lanes, they at least have wave clear fish. You know, Nautilus with the E, Maokai with the Q spam, you're at least able to clear out the wave farm quite safely. So even if Series goes towards a carry...
Whoa! Series! He did not just do that!
I mean, he did. I don't know what you're so excited about. Tryndamere is locked in for the top laner of Avant Garde. But yeah, so he should still be able to wave clear against it.
My goodness. Jake was hovering this in the first game. He's been hovering it every single week. It's normally a swiper specialty, but Series gets to play Tryndamere. I am now incredibly excited for this match.
And there is a guy running around in solo queue at the moment that's bopping people with Tryndamere. A couple of Zeal items in there, as well as a Bork. Generally gets the job done, Fish. Of course, Tryndamere, the reason we don't see him in competitive play is he synergizes a little bit better with Ghosts than he does with Flash. If he's shut down, becomes quite useless because he doesn't really have all that much CC to bring to it. And in team fights, isn't really the best. So we'll see how it works out. It makes sense why they have Chelby on a tank jungler now, because I assume that this is just going to be split pushing all day.
Most likely is going to be the case for Series. And you know, when you were talking about Maokai and Nautilus, I was going to add on to your point saying that the two tanks in the top lane to do very well into carries early on in the game until those carries get lifesteal if they're AD based. It's not quite sure if that goes to be the same against a Tryndamere. I haven't seen one of those in quite some time.
I mean, at the end of the day, mate, if Maokai is up there and Graves is up there, Tryndamere is dying pre-6. I don't care what you are. Graves hits way too hard at the moment, and Maokai has all the CC and base damages you need. So early game still should be a struggle, especially with jungle influence, just because, you know, Maokai adds a lot more to the ganks than what a Tryndamere is going to.
Yeah, and Series is going to be bringing Flash up into the top lane. We'll have to see if that helps or hurts him. Going up against this Maokai 528. Should be a little bit stunned by this pick, but it's definitely going to be one we will be watching out for when we head into this next match. But still, very interesting drafts from both teams.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I mean, when you have a look at it, a nice 1-3-1 comp coming out of AV as we jump onto Summoner's Rift for game 2 between XR5 and Avant Garde. You can throw Chelby in a side lane. He has a global. You can get Series down there. He has teleport as well. So it's 1-3-1 versus very team fight heavy out of XR5. You definitely don't want to try and go into a 1-3-1 or even a 4-1 really, unless you have some good wards for ganks.
Crazy is going to get spotted out here by Avant Garde. They kill the ward, so nice and early lead for Avant Garde. 10 gold up to start off this game against XL5. But again, going for the very quick and early invade. But for now, as they just walk around the map and place their wards down, let's check in with Hingers, who's with one of the coaches.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Geordie now, and I want to start by asking you about Kled. Is Kled a pick that everyone kind of knows 5-8 enjoys?
I imagine so. I can't imagine any other reason they'd be banning it both games.
Absolutely. And also the Tryndamere pick. How do you think your team will stack up against the Tryndamere pick? Because it was kind of unforeseen. Yeah,
it was an interesting pick. We are pretty confident playing against it. I mean, if we keep him down in lane, it won't be too big of a problem, and that's our goal. Excellent stuff. So sticking with a simple plan, do you think? What's your strategy going into this game? Pretty much just team fight as much as we can, and absolutely. If we get ahead, we get ahead. If not, you know, it's not everything lost. We have a substitute again, unfortunately. Absolutely. All right. Well, best of luck in the game, and thank you for speaking to us. Thank you very much. Cheers.
There you have the XL5 coach there as...
Oh, I like this.
Tiga, no! There's the Voidlings. They're going to swarm onto Blinky. He's going to get locked down, or does he, as he flashes away? No summoner spells burnt by X5.
That's really interesting. I mean, they were obviously expecting the flash to come out, but if you exhaust, it takes him longer to walk towards the wall, and wow, Siri is just exerting some dominance up there in the top lane. Ooh. He took spin level 1. That's, you know, very, very nice to see. Generally, some... Tryndameres even take W level 2 if they get the lane pushing enough, because what it allows, he hasn't, but he's taken the Q, but you lessen the attack damage when people go in for the second rounds of trades as they're trying to pick up this creep score here. didn't exactly catch his Keystone Mastery.
Blinky's being locked down, the Voidlings are going to continue hammering down on towards Blinky. He's forced to flash away, and now they've got their eyes set on towards Jake. XL5, they're not fooling around anymore here.
Yeah, they certainly aren't, and that's all the potions gone out of Blinky, of course, starting longsword. However, early visit to the bottom lane out of Chelby looking to rescue the situation. It's pushing into them, so he certainly needs to get down there.
Crazy still has a couple of potions of his own to try and heal back up, but Tegan's playing this Meltar quite well to kick things off. A little bit of cheese, but you have to respect the damaging supports in the when you're heading into the lane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know whether if it is cheese anymore. I mean, that's just what you expect coming out of Malzahar, to go forward and look for that at level 1 and 2, as Crazy actually misses out, and Tegan now caught off in the wrong side of the lane.
Does have Guts right behind him.
Good
He's going to
bait.
get locked down. Let's see if he goes for it. Blinky going to get jumped on again. Evades the W. Guts, that's a minion. You don't want to auto-attack those. You're going for the champions. The A-click not working out for him there.
Yeah, and as soon as that captive audience missed, I think he just abort from the gank. I like the idea from the Guts. I really like the bait coming out of T-Gun. But unfortunately, if Crazy can't land that W, then there's no point really flashing afterwards if you're the jungle.
So we check in with the mid lane. Triple up against Gloop. Gloop has picked up Cassiopeia this time round. Victor doing a very good job of staying up in CS and just trying to zone out the Cassiopeia in early levels here.
I mean, it's still going to push back. It's still a massive minion wave. There's got to be like at least an extra 3 or 4 in there. So not really all that big of a deal that he's down at this stage of the lane. Bottom lane is holding up relatively well. It's top lane really where I'm starting to get a little bit worried for X5. Teleport's already been burnt, and that's a big advantage right now in a pushing lane.
Yeah, he's got a Cull as well as a longsword here, and Chelby's now going for the gank on towards 528. He's forced to flash away. That's Maokai's flash burnt, and he's burning through potions as well. Gets spun on by a series on top of that.
Yeah, actually Series has gone with the Bandit passive as well. That's why he's getting some extra gold for all the creeps that are dying, as well as the fact that whenever he smacks 528 in the face, he gets an extra couple of gold. Of course, there's big questions around whether it's worthwhile. Blinky in trouble.
He's going to get locked down here, trying to avoid the Voidlings, but they're chasing after him, and T-Gun picks up first blood with the Swarm.
Yeah, really nicely done, and this is what I said, get priority in some of your lanes. I mean, only bottom lane has it right now, but you can see that it is paying off massive dividends. That's after, you know, all of the harass and poke that had gone down early. And generally, if you can't kill a Nami lane, they get back ahead because of Nami's sustain. But they just kept at it. They were able to continue to chunk out. And a great job out of Crazy and T-Gun to start this one off on a positive note.
And how the tables have turned here, because Blinky and Jake, one of the strongest bottom lanes in the OPL, Crazy and T-Gun haven't had the best performances so far. Up in the top lane though, Series just slaps the Maokai one time, heals up to full health with that Q, the fully stacked Rage Bar helping him out there.
Yeah, certainly is. As Chelby actually shows mid lane against Gloop. It's still dangerous in 2 lanes right now for X5. As Chelby's actually been spotted out here. He's in some trouble.
Here comes Gloop as well as Guts trying to get the collapse. Good knock up on towards the Snake Lady. Doesn't get the ultimate down, so can't lock out the Rek'Sai. Even used the Ghost there, now being denied some of the CS.
Yeah, needs to get back around underneath that turret. You see that Chelby straight back to work. Looking for Guts still.
Chelby really wants this wolf here, smites it away, but Guts picks it up and they're going to fight. Chelby forced to try and run away.
Every
Quick draw.
member coming down.
528 comes around as well, forces the flash out of Chelby, doesn't get the wolf, and blows his summoner spell.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's persistence out of Chelby, but maybe a little bit misplaced. Does secure even more farm for Series up there in the top lane, as well as gives Gloop a little bit of a run around the map, but needs to be careful now that he doesn't have his flash, that he doesn't go into any ganks a little bit too early, because the counter ganking potential out of Graves has always been very high versus Rek'Sai, especially when there is no tunnels and flash available.
Move back down to the bottom lane. You can see Serrated Dirks picked up by both AD carries. Crazy with a small advantage of an extra longsword. Thanks to first blood that was picked up by Tegan. Shouldn't matter too much.
I mean, when you have a look at the gold values, it's actually Blinky that's still nearly up in gold, just because of how well he's been farming. 5 CS. It's only an assist, of course. Tegan was a big benefactor of the kill. But they need to keep an eye on that CS discrepancy and make sure that Blinky isn't farming up out of control as he was last game. Although missing cannon creep certainly going to help out the opposition in that regard.
Tegan's going to be able to hit level 6 shortly as well. Jake still sitting on level 4. So Malzahar will have a window to try and strike in that bottom lane.
A big ping going out in the bottom lane, actually.
Looking to try and fight. Captive Audience does not lock down the Rex sign. The Voidlings will not be able to get their feast onto the Rex side.
And you could see that Guts was actually around the corner, so was ready to counter gank for Chelby if it did come into a big fight. Chelby, unfortunately, you know, could not go toe-to-toe with those Voidlings, as you said. Meanwhile, top lane, as it was pointed out by the observers, big damage down onto that turret already.
75 CS to 43 as well, going in favor of Sirius Tryndamere. Still in this bottom lane is crazy, and Team going to take a little bit of poke from this Varus, but Blinky just happy to sit back and farm up. Guts has snuck his way into the bottom lane.
I mean, I wonder if we see something like a lane swap. Guts is down here.
Oh, flash forward. They get the ultimate down from Tegan. Jake going to take so much damage. He will flash away. Kodakor comes out. It's going to be blocked up by Blinky, but for how much longer? Because the final shot's going to come through. Blinky sacrifices himself. Jake just dances on his dead body. And XL5 get a kill.
I mean, Jake gives him the look at me. I am the captain. You die for me, son, unfortunately. Does mean that the AD carry will fall down and unfortunately not get any of this gold underneath the turret. I really think that the right call here out of X5 is to recall and send your duo lane top because they need to be able to save that turret. It has fallen dangerously low and they will be able to push Tryndamere in and maybe get an extra wave for it. Not going for this is, in my opinion, just a huge risk. 528 probably has to burn a teleport on the back end. Otherwise, Series is just going to keep running at the turret. And there's nothing to do without, you know, things like the Ninja Tabby to be able to push that Tryndamere away. He's got sustain. He's got the on-hit sustain coming out of the Cull as well. He's just, you can't shove him out at the moment without multiple members.
It's pretty much a nuisance. You can see him just moving in, trying to get the slaps down on towards this turret. 528 desperately wants to hold this mini wave off the turret. Only has the single Doran's Ring. You normally need 2 on Nautilus or Maokai in the top lane to keep your mana nice and topped up. But it's not looking great for this big old tree. Series is level 6, and Avant Garde is setting up for a dive in the top lane.
Yeah, everyone is heading up. He has cleared out the minion wave, but here goes the dive.
Ghost being popped by Triple as well. Chaos Storm going to deal a lot of damage. 528 is going to fall. Guts now is the next one to get jumped on. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Jake is trying to run away from these Voidlings. He will be able to do so, but Avant Garde, they got 2 kills in the top lane.
Yeah, they certainly did. Cassiopeia goes up, picks up one in response. So nice job from Gloop there. Now on the hunt for everyone else. Triple needs to be careful actually slowing himself like that. But a 2-for-1 trade is definitely a good news story, especially when both of them go over onto your split pushing Tryndamere. Turret lives for now and tabbies have been picked up. So maybe the Maokai can start standing up in the lane, but I don't know if that's going to be the case.
He's going to run straight to the top lane. Meanwhile, Kodakor being popped here. Jake going to take a lot of damage. That will be cancelled out, but it still will be Tegan that picks up the kill. Blinky gets exhausted, but it don't time it well enough with the captive audience.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a bad jump there as we have another look at top lane. So Triple picks up the turret aggro initially, trades it over, actually doesn't even, just keeps it. And that's probably why the response kill came in, because Sirius has to use the ultimate underneath the turret with the flash, and it leaves Chelby as a sitting duck. So definitely could have been better executed on by the AV liner, I think it's fair to say. But, you know, a couple of kills is definitely a win.
Series also sneaks into their jungle and is able to get back to base safely. He's now got red buff. Bilgewater Cutlass as well as a Zeal here. 528 shouldn't go anywhere near him, and as I say that, Chelby ganks the top lane, forces the Maokai to flash away.
I mean, it's still a good avoidance of the gank, and you have to overextend because otherwise the Tryndamere just freezes on you forever, right? You never get near a CS ever again. However, is down pretty much half the CS, and they haven't been able to get Guts up there. The problem is now is that 528 is so much weaker than the Tryndamere that even if they bring him, I mean, there's serious 2v1 potential. Shelby's being caught out, however.
Will get slowed down. 528 still chasing the Rex side down, but doesn't have any more crowd control to lock him down for the Cassiopeia Graves.
And this is going to be solo first turret gold going over to Series at the same time. I mean, when we have a look at it, it's about 2,600 gold, the lead for AV now. And pretty much 1,400 of that sitting on the top laner.
Yeah, somewhere in Sydney, Swiper is pleading to his coach to let him play Trinity. See, look what he can do, guys. It's a great champion. It's crazy. He's going to get engaged on in this bottom lane. Gets taken out by Jake. Nice and easy. Chucks a wave at him. Picks up the kill.
I mean, I'm sure they would have loved that one to go over onto Triple. One thing to point out is Triple has rotated very nicely this game and still is up by pretty much 45 CS. Although might be caught out now being pinged.
Tegan going to try and lock him down. Flash over the wall. Gets him back to safety. Tegan opting not to use his ultimate early.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Generally could have got the ultimate down there for sure. And then got the grounded to follow that one up and guarantee the kill onto Triple, who didn't burn Ghost or anything like that to start with. But this game is, once again, quickly devolving. X5, they had a very good showing in the bottom lane. They still are, actually. I mean, they're within 13 CS, and it's 2-0-1 on support, 1-1 and 2 to the 80 carry. But everywhere else in the map at the moment, I feel like it's just behind a step because of all that pressure that Series is putting on the top lane. And now with a Rift Herald, my goodness, he's going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, that's not great. The Rift Herald here for Series. He is just going to split like an absolute monster. There's not too much the 5-8 can do about it. He's got his ninja tabs.
X5, meanwhile, is setting up a gank in the bottom lane.
Uh-oh, Blinky almost walks into it, places a ward down. Tegan and Guts don't react fast enough, and he's going to get away.
Tegan has flash and ultimate. I mean, that was very strange. Probably should have been a kill as soon as the ward went into the brush. I mean, you just generally blindly flash at that stage. And that's a lot of damage that's coming out. You can see that Blinky actually didn't go tier. So he was concerned about the power dip as well in the lane, especially when they started losing. So he's going to have less potency on the poke because he's not going to be able to throw out as much, but it's going to hit much harder at earlier stages.
It certainly will. XL5 are able to tie up the turrets taken down here, but they're still about 3,000 gold behind Avant Garde despite being up a kill.
But I feel like this is one of the more promising games we've seen because they've at least played towards their strong side of the map, and they've got an objective off the back end of it. Now if they use that duo lane, maybe rotate in the mid, see if they can pick up a quick kill onto Triple, who, you know, has no defensive stats at this stage of the game or something like that, it will be beneficial. However, AV read the play and now also looking at mid lane.
He's going to look to try and poke with this arrows there. Crazy! He's going to get hit by a laser on top of that. He's now below half health.
I mean, I still feel like you pull the trigger on the play. You have flash on T-Gun. He has the suppression. Everyone else has summoner spells and ultimates available. Crazy probably should still be looking for the fight just with the ultimate. Because otherwise you just get bled out. I mean, right now, Series is in the top lane. He's just split pushing like a madman. He's already got a completed item, and it's not going to save the turret. You need a fight around it.
Joby just blocks the ultimate coming out from Crazy there. Now Blinky gets jumped on by Tiga. They're going to take quite a bit of damage, but he gets melted by Triple, who's trying to kite back away from Guts and Gloop. Gloop, he's going to be able to kite back as well, picking up a kill here as Avant Garde. They're going to take 2 against the engaging XL5. 5-8 here as well, which means Series is going to be able to take the top lane inner.
Yeah, and not enough coordination. They wait for the turret to die, so it's not on their side. 5-8's teleport is too late. They get absolutely nothing from it. Lose a mid lane turret, lose a top lane turret, and now AV are once again in firm control of the game.
Almost, sorry, actually 6,000 gold up. 15 minutes into this one, 5-8 is going to run up into the top lane and try to fight Series. That's not a good idea, but he's got a static sieve. 70 CS up against this Maokai.
Yeah, 2-0-0, 70 CS, as you said. He's a monster at this stage of the game. Cannot be trifled with lightly. And let's have another look at this. So you can see that there's just hesitation out of everyone, apart from T-Gun, who flashes forward, gets a really nice ult onto a priority target, but Gloop still a little bit too far behind. Guts gets drawn back in by a well-placed W from the Victor, and 5-8, they're too late. He can't do anything at this stage of the game. It's an execution error. That idea is perfect. If you're the coach, you run that reel time and time again and just explain, you know, the value of going in as a unit of 5 as opposed to leading with an ultimate and then, you know, Gloop flashing in a little bit too late. Was right there. It was on the tip of being a good play, but the execution let them down again.
This has allowed Series to go back to base, pick up a Blade of the Ruined King, as well as Berserker Greaves here on the Tryndamere. 5-8's yet to finish his Sunfire cake. And already Series has got 2 items heading into this game. Triple is looking for a Lich Lichbane as well. He's gonna hit like a truck with his empowered autos.
Yeah, let's talk about Victor's itemization a little bit because we haven't seen him much in pro play ever since the Rylai's nerf went through. Doesn't have a way to reapply that slow, so it is a little bit harder to make him work. However, Lichbane gives him some mana back as well as some cooldown reduction, and it gives him that genuine one-shot ability on the AD carries that are a little bit less mobile. As now T-Gun searching for Shelby.
Gonna get the Voidlings down. They'll auto-attack the jungler here. Doesn't deal too much damage anymore. T-Gun did not want to lock him down with the ultimate.
Yeah, a little bit of a wasted ultimate there because the rest of AV was collapsing.
Luke just dies off to the side there. Triple's gonna be able to pick up that kill. The rest of Avant Garde now slowly collapsing on the remaining members of XL5. They're still series split pushing. He's about to take down his 3rd turret of this game.
And I mean, when you think about it, he's up all these kills as well as the CS, but the big thing that he's really been able to pick up is solo turret gold. And that actually puts him about 3,800 gold ahead of the other top laner, just by himself, by getting all the solo turret gold and just continuing to get scarier and scarier as this game progresses, and no one even wants to go near him to stop it. They're going to send T-Gun down.
He's an absolute monster on this Tryndamere. He still has the Glimmer of the Void passive, and he's just gonna slowly hack away at this turret. Will now be forced to back away as multiple members of XL5 threaten to collapse.
And once again, this is actually really nice out of AV. If you are serious, it's very easy to be like, no, I'm fed, I'll outplay, I'm going to stick around for a couple of more turrets. However, the rest of the team's backed away, so he goes back to base, picks himself up a last Whisper, definitely going to be able to deal with 5-8 at this stage of the game, and he'll head back into his split push towards the bottom half of the map, because Baron, coming up in a minute, is going to be the next big priority. So I feel like they're playing very respectful, controlled League of Legends, and that's why their closeout have been much cleaner than maybe we've seen out of people like Legacy, Chiefs, Direwolves, because honestly, they're affording XL5 as much respect as you can give to an opponent and just sticking to the game plan over and over again.
And they've got massive power spikes as well. Shelby has been able to complete his jungle item, and Ninja Tabby's looking very tanky on that Rex side. Lichbane has been complete for triple as well. Even after tier finally being picked up by Blinky here after going for a serrated Dirk nice and early.
And I think it's fair to say, you know, XL5 was picking up much more kills against the Chiefs last week. You could see that the Chiefs were definitely smiling back at their opponents as they were playing that game. However, definitely no laughing happening on the side of Avant Garde so far. They've looked very well drilled, and I think that when you assess the strength of this team, that has to be up there as well, as Guts is in. Actually, Series just backs away.
Series does not want to fight him. We'll head back to safety. Good smoke screen coming out from Guts, scares the Tryndamere away.
Meanwhile, Crazy's ulted somewhere, trying to pick up a kill onto Triple. Blew a flash, I believe, off screen.
As the rest of Avant Garde look to push the top lane. Blinky getting a look to continue poking out XL5 with his arrows. Just allowing time for Series to get his split push going. Still has Glimmer of the Void, still has a lot of power up against the Maokai.
However, if Maokai can hold the creep wave off the turret and, you know, just look to clear out as fast as possible, maybe he has a fighting chance. Although it doesn't look like that's the case because he's about to die in the bottom lane.
They're going to fight on both fronts here. Gloop and Tiga getting locked down by the W coming out of Victor. Crazy flashes on forward, taking a lot of damage. Avant will lose triple, and Guts is trying to go toe-to-toe against the remaining 3 members. What are you doing, buddy? You can't just slide over to Blinky. He's got Jake and Shelby close by. Jake will pick up a kill.
Yeah, so very nicely done. I mean, I feel like at this stage of the game, if you go for the outplay regardless. You've just lost the one-on-one split push. You've lost the 4-on-4 team fight. Not really all that much else to grasp at. And it looks like in 22 minutes, again, AV are going to break the base on 2 fronts.
Yep, they've broken the top lane inhibitor turret. Bottom lane inhibitor turret's going to fall as well. Series has taken down 5 turrets this game. He went from Hitman to Demolitionist in 1 game.
Yeah, certainly did. I mean, he's picked up a solo kill underneath the turret as well, if you don't mind. So certainly playing both roles this time around.
Oh, he's crossed up another one of the OPL top laners here. He's now taken down 4. If you include the kill steal from Shelby last week.
You don't. I mean, I feel like we got to stay true to the list.
All right, so he's taken out 3.
It was a miss last week.
Meanwhile, Tegan in a little bit of trouble. Chelby's there. So is Triple. He goes for that one. Now Avant slowly looking to chase down XL5. Guts is caught out. He tries to go on towards Triple. Will get locked down by the gravity field. Curtain Call comes out but does not connect onto anyone important. Gloop will get locked up by Chelby. Flashes on forward. Double knockup coming out from the bubble as well. This entire time we have Series split pushing in the bottom lane. He's taken out an inhibitor for himself. Gloop takes an arrow to the snake, I should say. That's crazy. Will get locked down for Triple's kill. 5-1 and 6 on this Victor. My goodness. Avant are just opening up the base against XL5.
They certainly are. I mean, AV really have stuck to the game plan, executed upon it beautifully, and dismantled the XL5 lineup. And I don't think we're done. I mean, T-Gun looks like he's about to fall down. I'll be able to pick that one up. 5-8 does get a kill in response.
He's going to go back in. Again, Series just pops the ultimate and decides he's going to town with his strong arm. We'll be able to pick up another kill, and that should be game for Avant Garde.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be the case. Everyone has fallen. Crazy's going to respawn, but I don't know if it's going to be enough because Series is on the Nexus turrets.
They're taking these turrets down nice and easy. His right arm is so much stronger than his left as the Demolitionist and Hitman will take down 2 more turrets for himself. The Nexus is open. Crazy, you don't want to get anywhere close to that Demon of a Tryndamere as Avant Garde will eventually close out this game against XL5.
Series died at the end, so I feel like, you know, X5, they got a little bit of the last laugh. You can see Jake not too happy about that one. But, yeah, what a performance out of AV, honestly. That was beautiful to watch. They cleaned up both games in under an hour. I mean, if you want to make a statement, that is the way you do it. You stick to the game plan. You play clean League of Legends. You afford your opponents the respect to, you know, play that one out by the textbook. And that is exactly what they did. I mean, XL5 had a much better duo laning experience this time around. I think you have to give credit to T-Gun being able to dictate the pace of the game. They needed him to step up, but in the split push battle, they just weren't able to win it.
Yeah, it seems like the parts of the map that were failing for XL5 really stepped up in that second game, but Avant Garde just targeted the strong points that XL5 had in that first match. They took down 5-8 nice and early, were able to cripple him in the top lane with an unorthodox pick there, and they pick up a win in game 2, picking up all 3 points this week as well. To break down that game further, let's go back to the analyst desk.
Thanks very much, guys. We are joined here at the analyst desk by Alex and also Mendrix. Guys, let's talk about this game. AV looking very strong across the entire series, but that second game, closing out a game, 23.5 minutes. Mendrix, this is a statement.
Absolutely a statement. And really, these guys just seem to be evolving throughout the entire split. When they first started with a little bit of a shaky start, then the incremental improvements after that, and now these guys are looking so solid. And Sarah's, again, continuing to pop off. I mean, that bot lane, they had a lot of pressure early, but still keeping up in CS, still having those sort of naturally holding lane, even without that support, is such a big statement as well for that bot lane. So again, AV just shining lights everywhere.
Alex, we talked a lot in the first game about how Triple kind of popped off. His second game, very good for him as well. Is he just playing well, or is it the fact that he's going up against a sub in Gloop?
It's partially that. Gloop is doing well for the situation, the difficult situation that he's been put in. But Triple is a superstar mid laner in this region. Any team would love to have him, you know. And you saw that game when he was putting so much pressure on mid lane. He was leading by 30 CS by like the 12-minute mark or something. Not only was he able to dominate his own lane, but he was able to impact other lanes, like when he roamed top and, you know, Series got the double kill in Tryndamere.
All right, well, let's take a look at the draft as you bring it up on your screen right now. And the big thing that sticks out to me, Mendrix, is the Tryndamere pick. I mean, Fish got very excited about it. How did you feel?
Extremely unorthodox pick, and I think it is actually a really good response into Maokai specifically. Maokai, although he tends to not have the strongest early game, he is solid up in that lane, and he was allowed to be exploited because of that, because Tryndamere just immediately jumped onto him, leveled that spin first, so he was able to exert extreme amounts of pressure. And then when it came to that point where it was sort of the breaking point for Tryndamere, when he got that double kill, it was because Triple actually came through and really helped out to make sure that he could land, come in early, took a little bit of that turret pressure, and then allowed him to just pop off afterwards. And then when he escaped, he was just an absolute threat, an absolute menace in that top lane.
Yeah, and I have to say, when you're laning against the Tryndamere, the warning signs come very early. Level 1, he got, I think it was 1 or 2 criticals on. And
Yeah.
yeah, you can say, oh, like a dog, you know, but still, that's a threat you have to be aware of when you're playing against Tryndamere. If you take those hits early, your whole paradigm changes as to how you play that lane.
I mean, can we talk a little bit about how Tryndamere fits into their wider team comp, though? Because is this kind of a top lane pick where it's like a bit of fun, or is this legit just like, hey, we're trying to build to this pick?
Well, it certainly looked like it. You saw Sirius was really happy on that play game. Blinky was having a bit of a laugh as well. But this is a pretty standard 1-4 comp. You know, you've got Victor who can pretty much mana push by himself because he's got that laser that just clears wave after wave and he never runs out of mana and he can disengage with the gravity field. I love Victor, by the way. And they were in the perfect situation for Sirius to just get to work on Tryndamere. Now, that pick could be anything. That could be a Shen. That could even be an Irelia. This game, it was Tryndamere.
With Tryndamere specifically, and what I want to discuss about that is that Tryndamere is really a greedy laner. He is going to be staying up there the whole time. You don't really have him bring any benefit to a team fight composition other than, well, if he manages to get on your squishies, he is probably going to kill them. And that is generally why he just sits in that top lane, farming away. Ceres did that role amazingly. But the thing is that he's not going to bring anything massive to the rest of the team fight. So he really is just going to be a split pushing menace throughout the entire game, really.
Well, let's not ignore XL5 completely because they did show signs of life throughout the entire series. Let's take a look at this replay from the towards the end of the game in the top lane because they start off well and then things kind of just collapse, Mendrix.
So what you can see here in this specific team fight is XL5 go, you know what, Tryndamere's not here, let's engage. And they do a really good job of jumping straight onto Triple and getting the kills. But the big thing here is Triple managed to get that Chaos Storm off. And because he did that, all of the squishies on the side of XL5 were just absolutely melted. That allowed the rest of the AV team lineup to kite back any other damage threats that might have appeared, and they were able to break the base because of it.
Yeah, and I have to say, the Nami pick really helped them out in the team fights here. Malzahar is a great support pick, can catch people off guard, and can really, start that team fight for you. But the thing is, Nami's ultimate, it's like a shotgun. It doesn't miss anything past 10 foot, and it can't hit anything past 20 foot. So, the moment T-Gun flashed in, dropped that ultimate, Jake was every time putting that ult down.
Yeah, well, if you're XL5 now, you're still winless after week 4. What are you doing to rebuild at this point, Mendrix?
It all comes down to them sort of moving towards communication, keeping the team dynamic going, continuing to remain positive. And I think one thing that Spawn pointed out in his cast, which I really like, is to sort of go towards those priority picks. So sort of make it so that you're setting up the rest of your lanes for success. Because if you manage to get a really good lead early, that means that you can sort of just take that win and continue forward from there. And it really comes to the point where, say, we may be having issues in team fights. Avant showed that. They were always early every single time. Well, if you just beat them in lane, they can't set that up. And that might be an advantage they can look towards.
I mean, Alex, you're not going to be here every week, so I want to get your perspective before we get out of here. But do you think that XL5 could feasibly go winless this entire split?
Like you said, every team can beat every team. That also means every team can lose to every team. I don't see it happening. T-Gun is a motivated competitor. He has a lot of fire in him. If there's enough losses, he's going to come back a different beast, I reckon. All
right, well, let's take a look at the Radiant Medal, our MVP best and fairest for this game. And it is going to be a tie between Triple, who got 10 votes out of a maximum 12, and also Series. So it kind of was split amongst the voting cast. I don't know, Mendrix, do you want to vote who your pick out of those two was?
I actually went for Triple this time around, and the reason why I went for Triple is he helped facilitated Series early, so that way he was able to get ahead in that initial second game. And the first game, he absolutely popped off. I mean, he really showed Gloop who was boss in that mid lane, and he was just a sort of solid beam that entire team fight or the entire series.
And meanwhile, are we just giving are we just giving series points as well because that sweet Tryndamere pick? Or I mean, he did play well. There's no denying that, right? He's continuing his great form into week 4.
Well, here's the thing about the best Tryndamere players, and Swiper, if you're watching, you can back me up on this. The best Tryndamere players can crit whenever they want, and the series can. So, he's my MVP.
All right. Well, it is now interesting because Series himself is standing by with Spawn for the interview, so let's cross to them.
Thanks so much, Hingers. I am Spawn, joined by Series, the top laner of Avant Garde. I want to just start this off a little bit differently. I mean, everyone's saying you came out of nowhere. How long have you been playing League for? Were you just a solo queue pickup? How did this happen?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing League for about 4.5 years now, and I've been playing across multiple servers because of the various countries that I've lived in. I'm not surprised that people think that because I actually moved here from Singapore, so not many people will have known me. So I basically came out of nowhere.
Exactly right. And
Yeah.
with that came with all the surprises. I mean, talk to me about the Tryndamere pocket pick. I mean, is this something that you guys have been running a lot in scrims? Is it a solo queue pickup? Where is it from?
No, yeah. So basically, like back in the day, it used to be sort of a Tryndamere one trick, and again, no one will know that because it's from different servers. But yeah, I just love the pick. I think it's a great split pushing. It's legit. And yeah, it's something that we've been practicing, so I want to stick to that.
And you know, you've had a couple of really nice games on carries, but your Maokai play, I mean, able to stop up a lot of Shen. It looks like your communication with the team is pretty good. I mean, you're getting to the team fights first. Talk to me about how it's been like playing for AV as that teleporting top lane.
Oh, I mean, playing for AV is great. We have the luxury of having bonded very well, and that makes things easier. I think it's easier to communicate with your team when everyone's open, and it's not necessary, but it definitely helps. And yeah, so it makes things easy, or at least my teammates make things easy.
All right, cool. And, you know, with all of this easy, with the back of like 3 3-point victories, I mean, at the moment, it looks like you guys are legit and slotting into the top 4. Are you a top 3 threat? Are you a top 2 threat? How good is this team?
I mean, I genuinely think we are. We'll have that question answered next week when we play the Chiefs, but I mean, I think it'll be fine, and I'm looking forward to it.
Right, are we going to see another Tryndamere pick into swap?
Absolutely. I hope so.
All right, there you go, guys. Gauntlet has been thrown. Series, thank you so much for the interview. However, guys, we've got another best of 3 coming your way. It's our game of the week as Direwolves are going to take on Legacy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 3.5.